All right, so we're at number 5 now. This is the Order of the Phoenix, and this marks, I would say, the beginning into the darker Harry Potter films and a bit of a change in focus, I would say. So less school stuff and more confronting the villain and sort of ending the series. So at the end of the fourth one, Lord Voldemort returns, and in this movie it becomes clear that people don't believe Harry, and he's once again put in a position where people are against him, and he's sort of having to prove himself. And not only that, but the media and the government have sort of bound together and have been writing propaganda about Dumbledore and Harry. And before we get into the plot synopsis, I will say this movie is directed by David Yates, who takes the series the rest of the films. He does 5, 6, 7, and 8, making him the most movies of any director, him being responsible for the most. And yeah, so plot synopsis. Basically, the Order of the Phoenix is a secret society founded by Dumbledore last time to defeat Voldemort and inform 15-year-old Harry Potter that the Ministry of Magic is oblivious to Lord Voldemort's return, and the Daily Prophet has launched a smear campaign against Harry and Dumbledore to basically deny that Voldemort is back, for I think obvious reasons, but if it's needed for me to explain. It makes the government look bad, basically, and it also is better to pretend that something like that isn't happening rather than confronting it. Also, like, there isn't concrete proof he's back at the beginning of the movie, but it turns out like there is mounting evidence, like people are disappearing, people are breaking out from Azkaban, and also Harry is attacked by Dementors. And basically what happens is Harry uses a spell to get rid of the Dementors, and he's expelled from Hogwarts, and he's put on trial, and it's basically like a witch hunt. But he is basically saved by Dumbledore, who produces a witness he had in Little Whinging in the suburb that Harry lives to basically like watch Harry, and that gets him off. And at this trial, a woman is introduced who is a very... This is the main thing I want to talk about with this movie, because I do think this is interesting. I would call her a hyper-feminine, perhaps a phrase that isn't used very much, toxic feminine character who has a very high-pitched voice, wears exclusively pink, basically. And she's basically questions Dumbledore and says, like, you're questioning the ministry and this is not acceptable. She's basically like a government worshiper. And that's your introduction to Umbridge. So, meanwhile, they arrive at Hogwarts, where this woman, Dolores Umbridge, from the Ministry of Magic, has been appointed Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, and she gives a speech where she declares that, like, things at Hogwarts are not going in the right direction. And then we go into her classroom where... I hope you like, I'm kind of summarizing the synopsis more. I realized I was kind of reading it too much, so I'm just going to summarize it more from now on, as best as I can, of course. And they're in the class, and Dolores Umbridge basically says that you were told lies last year, Voldemort is not back, and Harry Potter disobeys her and speaks, and this puts her into a rage, and she gives him detention, where she gives him a quill and she says, "Copy over and over, I must not tell lies on a piece of paper." And he says, "There isn't ink." And she says, like, I don't remember what she says, but she's like, "It will do," or something. So he starts writing with it, and it basically uses his blood from his hand to as ink. And he's basically like branded with the phrase, "I must not tell lies" on his hand. And basically Hermione sees this and is basically tells McGonagall against Harry's wishes. And basically this creates a huge problem where Umbridge is appointed High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, and she's allowed to make loads of rules, and she puts her mark on the school. And they're not allowed to use spells in class anymore, so Harry and some friends and others make a sort of secret group called Dumbledore's Army, where they practice spells and learn how to defend themselves. And yeah, so this goes on while Harry and Cho Chang develop a romantic relationship, and Cho Chang was Cedric Diggory's love, so it's a bit of a complicated relationship right there. And he has his first kiss in the Dumbledore Army meeting. And at this time, Harry is starting to get emotionally unstable and is feeling angry, and he is starting to notice the connection between Voldemort and himself, and he's doubting his sort of morality, and he's worried that he's turning evil. And this goes on through the movie, and it kind of comes to a head where Harry has a vision while he's sleeping of Ron's dad, Arthur Weasley, in the Department of Mysteries, where he's attacked by a snake. And at this point, there's a meeting in Dumbledore's office where Harry sort of bursts out at anger at Dumbledore, who's been ignoring him the whole movie. And he's like, "What's happening to me?" And at this point, Dumbledore instructs Snape to give Harry occlumency lessons. And occlumency is basically the magic in defending your mind from being read or controlled, which is probably happening to Harry. It's implied that Voldemort could be sending him messages that could deceive him. And this is an important part of the whole series. Harry snaps at Snape and basically says, "I want a break," and Snape doesn't oblige, so he casts a protection spell and basically enters Snape's mind, where he sees his own father, who sort of is this hero and is very revered throughout the series, but he sees his father bullying a young Snape. And this sort of scars Harry a little bit and breaks his worldview, but it's important for us, the viewer, because it starts the little redemption arc for Snape, which is finished in the last movie, but sort of explains how he got to where he is, where he's sort of very, very bitter about Harry and can be quite mean to him and cruel at times. But of course he does love him and protects him throughout the movies, but he is very bitter about what his father did to him when he was a child. And at this point, Bellatrix Lestrange, Sirius's cousin, escapes from Azkaban with 9 other Death Eaters. And Cho Chang is interrogated by Umbridge and her cronies, and basically they find the location of the meeting for the Dumbledore's army, and they're all basically taken into custody, and Dumbledore is arrested, or they try to, and he escapes in a very good scene where he uses his phoenix to sort of disappear in a ball of flame. And at this point, Umbridge becomes headmistress of Hogwarts and like institutes a dictatorship basically, and Harry breaks up with Cho. You know what? I don't want to be mean, okay, but I just never understand. He always goes for the wrong girls. When you're friends with Hermione Granger, I mean, why would you go for this little Asian girl or Ginny Weasley, this strange redhead woman? But I guess that's just how it works. What else? Oh yeah, there's some criticism of the name Cho Chang. It's sort of like a meme with J.K. Rowling, the woman who made Harry Potter, that she's bad at making names. And they say like Cho Chang is like a really racist name. You know, Cho Chang. This kind of sounds like Bing Bong. It sounds very Asian. And yeah, but I don't really care. I think it's fine. Okay, so now they're taking like their SATs, which is called OWLs, ordinary wizarding levels, and the Weasley twins set off a bunch of fireworks in the class and basically drop out from school. And at this point, Harry collapses and sees a vision of Sirius Black being tortured by Voldemort. And remember from the third movie, I said that Sirius is built up as like Harry's hope for like a happy family and have like someone to take care of him when he's not at school, because obviously his family is very neglectful and abusive. So at this point he sees Sirius being tortured by Voldemort, who is basically asking him to reveal this prophecy in the Department of Mysteries. And at this point, Harry, Ron, and Hermione rush to Umbridge's fireplace to alert the Order via the Floo network, which is the powder that you can teleport with in Harry Potter. And this is because her fireplace is the only one not being monitored. But Umbridge stops them, and she basically goes berserk, and she threatens to use the Cruciatus Curse on Harry to get the truth out of him. And Hermione basically tricks her into thinking that they're hiding Dumbledore's secret weapon in the Forbidden Forest, where they basically lure her, and she is kidnapped by a bunch of centaurs. Give me 1 second. Alright, sorry. People that know me know I don't like to be eavesdropped on, and I thought there was someone by the door, but there's not. Okay, so where were we? So she's kidnapped by these centaurs, and Harry, Hermione, Ron, Luna, Neville, and Ginny fly to the Ministry of Magic on Thestrals in an attempt to save Sirius. And at this point, they enter the Department of Mysteries, where they uncover a bottled prophecy involving Voldemort and Harry. And basically basically it's revealed that only those who the prophecy is the subject of can find it in the Department of Mysteries. So basically Voldemort lured Harry here, and he was never torturing Sirius. It was a false vision Harry had. So it's true what they feared, that Voldemort would use Harry's brain, like controlling what he can see, as a manipulation to lure him into a trap. But basically Harry, it's revealed he's the chosen one, and that only he can kill Voldemort, and neither can live while the other survives. And it basically has to be him that does it. And Lucius Malfoy tries to get the prophecy, but Harry refuses, and a fight ensues. This prophecy also tells why Voldemort can't kill him, at least at this point. The Death Eaters take everyone except Harry as hostages, threatening to kill them. Or, no, sorry, what I said about the last part, the prophecy reveals why, like, Voldemort couldn't kill him when he was a baby, when his mother used a sacrificial love protection spell on her son, which is ancient magic. And basically the Death Eaters take everyone as hostages and threaten to kill his friends. And at this point, the Order of the Phoenix arrives with Sirius, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and others. Mad-Eye Moody, Nymphadora Tonks, Kingsley Shacklebolt come. And there's a bunch of duels going on, and through this duel, Lucius Malfoy drops the prophecy, breaking it. And just as this happens, just as Sirius defeats Lucius in a duel, Bellatrix kills Sirius Black in front of Harry in a very good and, emotional scene. Sirius Black is killed, and Harry goes into a rage and chases after her and attempts to perform the Cruciatus Curse on her and torture her. And at this point, this is probably like the best part of the movie. There's the final duel between Voldemort and Dumbledore, which is really, really good and entertaining, good action. And basically Bellatrix escapes, and Voldemort possesses Harry. And at this point, Ministry officials arrive before Voldemort manages to escape, but Fudge sees Voldemort before he leaves, and he's forced to admit that Voldemort has returned, and that's basically what is accomplished with this movie. And yeah. And the movie ends where Harry tells his friends that even though war is coming, unlike Voldemort, they have something worth fighting for. So what I mainly want to talk about with this movie, the most interesting thing, first of all, it's a very good film, for sure. Is it better than number 4? No. I would simply say that because I would say it's not as well structured, and it doesn't have as good of a pace. Like, it's a little slow at times, and a lot of it is kind of not as important, I guess, compared to the other ones. The ending is very good and very important, but a lot of the other part of the movie, while very good, is not as good as the others, and the direction is not up there either. So let me just check what I have this movie at the 5th best one, and I rated it an 8.8, so very solid for sure. Like I said, the duel and the end is really good, and I would say the villain for this film is very good. Dolores Umbridge, played by Imelda Staunton. She's a very gifted actress, I must say. Basically, what I really enjoy about her, and it takes a little bit of guts to do this, credit to J.K. Rowling for writing a character that could be called a toxic feminine character, and you don't really see too many characters like this, partly because society kind of encourages women to act this way, especially like bad modern films. Basically, she's just a really, really over-the-top evil woman. Think about it. She wears pink. She has this pink flower hat. The the sugar she uses in her tea is pink. She her room is surrounded by pictures of cats, like she's a crazy cat lady. She has a super high pitched voice. She can't stand anybody questioning her authority. She has a scene where she's fighting with McGonagall, where it's like two women sort of, egging it out with each other. But the one I find most interesting is near, like, where she is captured by the centaurs. She says, I really hate children, which I thought, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? Because there's this thing with, like, the feminist movement, like the radical feminist movement, encourages women not to have children and, like, sort of become more like men and sort of despise their own biology. And in that scene where she says, I really hate children, he's essentially saying the same thing. She doesn't like being a woman, and she basically hates herself. And I don't know, she's a very good character. She's like it's not like she determines the movie, She's like a side villain, essentially, kind of like how Two-Face in Dark Knight is like not the main villain, but also a very good villain in the movie, even though it's not the direct plot, the main plot line that he fulfills. Dolores Umbridge is sort of this awful, despicable character that I would say could teach a lot about sort of the excesses of feminist radicalism, I would say. But obviously, that's more like subtext. I wouldn't say that it's defined by the politics of radical feminist movements, but she's certainly inspired by it, no doubt. And yeah, practically she's just like a really good villain. And of course the character works because it doesn't bring politics into it. It's just like subtext. And she's kind of, in a way, maybe like reminiscent of Harry's aunt, who, well, I wouldn't say is like a toxic feminist character, but she's like this very punishing, cruel, loveless woman that like wants to be the mom, in the sense she wants to be in charge, but it comes with no love or good intention. It's kind of just like this cruel, paternalistic woman, very hateful. And yeah, she's very good. It's a very good movie. I recommend it. So yeah, we're on to number 6. I got a lot to say about that too. Sussy Boy out.